my Zoom here so that I can have this uploaded later on YouTube, our YouTube channel. So come on in. I'm going to go ahead and pop the Zoom link into the chat so that if you need to come in there, you can. And then we're just going to get started. So again, today we're talking about event planning logistics. It's all in the details. I say this all the time, from place settings to the balloons to uh, the type of caterer you're going to use, the type of food you're going to have, the type of baker you're going to use for your event. It's all in the details. So keeping with that notion, definitely want to dive into that. So the floor plan and timeline, it is the most important thing that you can have for your event because what you want is to be able to have your event on event day, and you want to be able to hand that floor plan and timeline to your event staff, your vendors, preferred vendors, anyone who's going to be involved with executing that event. You want to be able to give that to them. Let's just say, for example, worst case scenario, you are going to be absent from the event, or you won't get there until a certain time. Your team needs to know exactly what they need to do upon arrival. So I usually send a floor plan and timeline to both, to everyone involved with the event. I usually thank them for being the vendor for that day, and I tell them from start to finish what's going to happen. The photographer knows what's going to happen, so that they know when to get certain shots throughout the event. The DJ knows what to do so that they can, look at things and make sure that everything goes seamlessly, and you're just there kind of managing that on the event day because you've already done the planning. So this is the execution phase. So the timeline is very essential. It's very important, just as a floor plan is, because with the floor plan, those vendors come, they don't have to ask you anything. They know exactly where to go based on how that floor plan is laid out. Usually on event day, I am tunnel vision. So I usually tell my vendors, if you have questions, please reach out to my special events coordinator. I do not answer my phone on event day because I've already given you all of that information in advance. So I want to make sure on the actual event day, I'm focused in other areas for the client. I'm showing up for the client. So definitely want to start with that. And I'm going to give you guys some takeaways with floor plans as well as timelines that you need to know. So if you need to get a piece of paper, a pen, or whatever, I want to make sure that you have that information handy. So first things first, we're going to dive into the floor plan because the floor plan is essential. Even if you're just showing up to design an event, you need to have a basic floor plan for social gatherings. As you get into corporate event planning, it's a little bit different. So you'll be doing staging more so, and we'll talk about corporate event planning next week when I have the special guests on the show for the lunchtime lessons. And they'll get into that a little bit more with you because they are definitely an expert in the field. But for today, I'm just going to give you a general floor plan idea. So your floor plan should be functional. That should be like as soon as the people walk in, it should be functional throughout. There should be space for people to walk. It should be functional for the caterer. It should be functional for the DJ. And these are going to be 11 points that I'm going to give you to write down so that you know for future reference. Okay, so the first thing is a blank canvas. You want to make sure now you're going into it as if it's a blank canvas, but the venue may have layers, and that's fine. But what you want to make sure that you do is look at it as if it's a blank canvas and start working the room from there. Think about all the vendors that you've hired. Think about everyone who's going to make it come together and make sure that it's completely functional for you. So one thing I say is that's number one. Make sure that you envision it as a blank canvas, okay? The second thing is the entrance. You want it to be welcoming when people come into the event, right? So that's very important. Your entrance, you can have a welcome sign, an easel, and just make it very welcoming. So when people, before they even get into the room well, they know, hey, this is the event I'm supposed to be at, and it welcomes them in. The third thing is focal point. When you enter a room at an event, there should be something that catches everyone's eye when they enter. And you can make that a dessert table, a cake table. You can make that a sweetheart table if you're doing a wedding or wedding anniversary. That came to mind because I'm doing a wedding anniversary this weekend. So that's going to be the focal point of the room. It could be the DJ booth could be the focal point, depending on the type of event that you have. But you need to make sure that you have some sort of eye-catching focal point when people enter. It can be just a backdrop, whatever you decide it to be. Balloons, balloon garlands are super popular right now. Any type of flotation type devices, or just whatever, you can have those. Whatever you want to make for the focal point should be the focal point for that event. And number four is the head table, or table one. It's going to be the table where the guest of honor is to be seated. So when you sit down at that table as the planner, or as the person who's putting together the event, you really need to make sure that they can see everything going on in that event. You sit down as if you are the client, if you are the guest of honor, so that everyone knows where they're seated. So people, when they want to come up to speak to that guest of honor, they know exactly where they are. It's the first, it's the biggest table. It's the one that's more pronounced as far as centerpieces. You want that to be, that is your head table. It should be the most important seat in the room. Okay. Even if they have other guests with them at that table, that's fine, but you want to make sure that they have the best seat in the house, because of course they're the guest of honor. Um, the fifth thing I have on the list is your guest tables, of course. So the guest tables should usually be surrounding the head table in some way. Cozy, you can make it a cozy feel. It can be something that's more functional as far as people serving, because if you have servers serving the food, you want it to be functional. You want to have table numbers if people have to get up and go and get their food. So you want to make sure that the guest table functions well with the head table. Okay. Number six is the dance floor. A lot of times when I'm doing a floor plan, I'm going to be honest, I forget about the dance floor and I have to go back in and fit it in before I send it off to the client. The dance floor is super important because you want it to be a space where everyone can dance together. You don't want them to have to dance at their table because the place is too crammed. So you want to give them a space where they can just dance and enjoy the night, and the DJ can work with them. The type of DJ that I've had in my business as my preferred DJ, he's the type who actually gets on the floor with the guests. Doesn't stand behind a laptop. He engages with people, and anyone who's sitting down, he's going to make sure that they get up. And that is why I have a DJ like him, because when it's time to dance, he's going to bring everybody to the floor every time and get them excited. So number six is the dance floor. That is something that you want to make sure that you have in your floor plan. And then number seven, of course, is the DJ booth or DJ table. You want it to be a space where they feel comfortable. You never want there to be walking room behind the DJ. That's one thing that you don't want to happen. You want usually your DJ to be up against the wall somewhere, and you want to make sure that he has the right extension cords and he's close to an outlet or plug, so that he can make it safe for the guests. You don't want them tripping over cords or anything like that. And if you have a DJ that's worth their salt, they're going to know how to position their speakers and things like that so that it's safe for the guests. So that's something really important as well. Number eight is the gift table. People forget about the gift table. When people come into an event, they try to hand their gift to the guest of honor. The guest of honor is greeting people. The guest of honor is, excited about their day. The last thing they want is to hold gifts in their hands. So you want to make sure that there is a gift table there so that they can just, put their gift down upon entry. I usually say if you can have your gift table somewhere close to the door when people walk in, they can either sign a sign-in guest book and put their gift down there, or you can have them just put their card in a card box. A gift table is so essential. And then, as far as logistics, you want to have someone available to take all of those gifts to the client's car or wherever they're going, because of course you're going to be breaking down the event if you're planning the event. So you don't want that to be something that you have to do. So a gift table is super important. Number nine, if there is not a kitchenette or small area for people to use, you want to make sure that you have a catering or food table. Now, this is good whether you have buffet style or not. you need to make sure that there is a food table available for your caterers so that they can set everything up in a way where they can serve the guests. Even if it's plated meals and they're being served, you want to make sure that you have that. Number 10 is a drink station. Usually the drink station is next to the food table, but sometimes, often not, you have it somewhere else where you have a really nice drink dispenser, or maybe you did a beautiful display with the drinks. And so you kind of want it to be a focal point for an event. Maybe you did a champagne bar. So a drink station is important as well. And it's usually somewhere near the food table, or it's a focal. And number 11 is one of the most important things to me, because that is what gets people excited. A photo booth area. Even if you just have a photographer and you don't have like a 360 booth or a mirror selfie booth, you want to make sure that you have a photo booth area because you want people to get excited to take photos. Even if it's just a backdrop with balloons, that's where they're going to take pictures. That's where the photographer is going to make sure that they are to capture those photos for the event. And these are photos that the client can go back to later and look at with everyone, in front of that backdrop and things like that. So just to run back through those floor plan takeaways, again, you want to make sure that it's functional. You're going to start from a blank canvas. That's number one. Number two, entrance. You want to make sure that you have a welcoming entrance, an easel or something with a sign. Number three, focal point. Make sure that it's eye-catching, whatever you make your focal point. Number four, the head table. Table number one, the table with the guest of honor. Everyone should know where that table is. It should be very clear. Guest tables, make sure that they are also functional and that they kind of create a cozy feel around the head table. Dance floor, make sure that that dance floor is somewhere on that floor plan. Even if it's a small one, make sure you fit that dance floor in there somewhere. DJ booth, make sure that he has an area that is functional for him to DJ properly and to be able to get out there with the guests if need be. Number 8, a gift table. Make sure you have that gift table so that your guests at your event do not have to carry around their gift or try to hand it to the guest of honor. Catering or food table, if you don't have a kitchenette, make sure you have that for them. And then drink station. And then the last thing, number 11, is the photo booth area. Now, for all of the tables, I always tell people, make sure you have table covers that look nice. Even if you decide to go a less expensive route, a more modest budget route with the plastic ones, it's a good idea to layer your plastic table covers because they can look really wrinkled and bad on photos later. So that's what I'm going to put out there about, and make sure that everything goes together. You don't want to have blue tablecloths on some tables and whites on others. It's okay to do black on the catering tables and then white tablecloths on other tables, but you want to make sure that you kind of keep everything together. And I take my linen to the cleaners that I have in house, and then sometimes you have to rent it. And of course, you want to make sure that your linen looks seamless as far as your tables are concerned. And then we're going to talk about the timeline, and the timeline is really quick. It's not anything that's too much pressure, really simple. Mentally, I'm going to tell you, my timeline is completed weeks in advance because I already know and I've already seen the vision of the event based off of that initial consultation with my client. So I kind of know what they want in their vision, but I am very meticulous about everything. So my timeline, so right now, the time that I'm going to the time that I plan to arrive there. When I arrive at the venue, even if they say I can't get in until 1 p.m., I'm usually there by noon because I need time to unload all of my inventory. Everything that I'm going to use to execute that event is at that front door. And when they say, hey, you can come in, all we have to do is bring all the items in. We're not unloading when they say it's open. That's not how I do business. I'm there early every time. Because what if they say, hey, listen, you guys can come in a little bit earlier. It's okay. We won't charge you for that time. I want to already be there so that they're not, so I can get started. I want to get started as soon as possible, getting that vision together. So I always have my timeline mentally prepared, but I don't usually type up the document until about 2 weeks in advance for the event, because that timeline, I'm actually going to send it to the client. They're not going to know when I wake up and arrival time and things like that, but they are going to know what's going to happen through those hours that they paid for. Let's just say they paid for 3 hours prior to the event start. They're going to know this is what Krista and her team are doing during this time, you know? So I make sure that I map that out completely. And if the customer, the client has any questions about the timeline or the itinerary on event day, they can ask that prior to the day of. And then we get everything ironed out so that on event day, execution is seamless. Okay. And I usually tell people start with an inventory breakdown that you need for to make an event. Start thinking about what you need to put in your cart. If there are fresh florals that your florists have sent to you or brought to you, if they're refrigerated, don't forget to get those out of the refrigerator before you go to the event. Sometimes you have to write those notes down, and it's important to have that on the timeline, because on the day of, your mind is racing and you don't want to forget anything. But you want to account for every minute on the hour. So I'm usually, my timeline is very intricate. So I'll start with from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. I am getting prepared to go to the venue. From my travel time is from 9 to 9:30. You know, it's really, really broken down, so that even if I make it there minutes earlier, great. I'm good on time. And then sometimes when people are walking in and asking questions, or the venue owner has things that they want to share with you, the good thing about it is you're able to kind of go back to where you stopped. And they're asking you random questions that you just really weren't thinking about. So when you get lost in that, you can go back to your timeline. And I usually have my timeline, my clipboard, and I go back to it. Oh, I was right here. Right. We're still doing good on time. And I can instruct my event assistants on what to do while I'm being pulled somewhere else. Because when you're the planner or the coordinator, that's usually what's going to happen. Now I have my special events coordinator in that position. On the day of an event, if you have questions, you call her. Don't call me, because I am handling everything on the day of to make sure that it is perfect for my, like, they are receiving the best customer service. When they walk in, I want them to be wow. And I want to finish before the photographer gets there. Because a lot of times photographers arrive early. They start taking pictures of trash on the floor and don't realize that they're just taking pictures, right? And I want everything perfect by the time the photographer gets there. So again, account for every minute. Your floor plan is super important. But these are just lunchtime lessons that I just wanted to share with you guys, because a lot of people don't do this. They just show up to an event and just expect to execute, and that's not how it works. It's a lot of work on certified event planners, especially. We're working through every single step. So I am going to open this. I got about a couple of more minutes here. I did want to open up the time. If you guys have any questions, feel free, if you're on IG Live, to pop them into the comment section here. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. But I hope that I brought some clarity to floor plans and timelines a little bit. If you don't have anything else when planning an event, you should have your floor plan and your timeline, and you should be able to hand that to any person at any event at any time, and they should be able to execute it for you. Sometimes you have a team that's executing an event and you're not there. So you want to make sure that you have those two things handy. If you don't have anything else, they should be able to read through it. Now, for me, my staff, my team, my preferred vendors, they always have it a week or two in advance. That is something that I make sure of. That way they could read through it. And if they have questions about anything, or they need clarity, or Krista, I'm not sure, should I be here at this time? What should I do? They can ask me in advance and we can tackle it, because we have the time to do so. Because on event day, it's execution time. It's not time to think about what we should do, or come up with ideas. The ideas phase it's gone. It's past. We are at the execution phase. So I hope this was helpful to someone out there. Even if you're planning an event and it's a DIY, you're doing it yourself, make sure you have a floor plan and timeline to give to an event coordinator. If you just have someone showing up to execute your plan that day. Make sure you have that and make sure, and they should know if they're your event coordinator, they should have already gone over those things with you and, understood what you wanted to see happen. But that's pretty much it as far as event planning goes. I will try to address event design and how that works too. But the floor plan pretty much is the same. I see that I don't have any questions, so I am going to close out for today. I want to thank all of you for coming on and listening to Lunchtime Lessons today as we celebrate our 10-year anniversary in the events industry as a certified event planner, and as a business owner in the events industry. And again, I've told you guys a million times before, on March 26th, please come out. We are having our Decade Sip Shop. It is going to be from 1 to 4 on a Sunday. We're going to make it a Sunday fun day. We have DJ Antron on the ones and twos. So we're excited about that. You can get tickets at christianseventconcepts.com/events. You can register there. General admission and VIP is available to you. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Happy hump day. Enjoy your Wednesday. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye.